Talk to me. WSRadio.com.
Welcome to Track Talk, your connection coast to coast and beyond in all the latest news, developments, stake race analysis, and interviews inside the world of thoroughbred horse racing. From California to New York, Florida, and Kentucky, we have you covered. It's post time, live from San Diego. It's Track Talk.
And we welcome you from San Diego, California, the WS Radio Network on a Saturday morning. And get settled in. We got a whole lot of shaking going on in the neighborhood, and we welcome you. Across the country, worldwide, I'm Felix Taverna. Tommy D will be joining in a second. Wade Taylor is producing and directing our radio program. We got Bob Baffert online with us live from Santa Anita. Mr. Baffert, at top of the morning, how are you?
Well, I actually had a decent morning till I read the Tim Sullivan hit piece, and so, pretty upset by it.
We had you on a couple weeks ago. What's shaking? What's shaking with all these drug positives? Now, this goes back a year ago to the Kentucky Oaks, correct?
No. This is just recently.
All right.
No. This happened.
Oh, the Justify one went back. Okay,
Yeah.
that basically they found it in. Okay, I got my horses confused, but continue on if you would.
Well, I mean, the Justify sort of. I found out about Justify, the results, like when everybody else did. 18 months later, we were waiting. He had the Jimson waited, and then the split did the whole process, and then after the Derby, the split came back. And then we just waited. So we ran the pre. We were waiting for that shoe to drop, and then never. I never asked for anything, and then all of a sudden, 18 months later, it comes out that there was no positive because they, apparently there was a cluster of them. They realized it was contamination. I just know what I read. I don't have anything. Nobody ever contacted us or anything. And Joe Drape did that big hit piece, and so it made it sound like the horse, like we gave him something. It was awful. The great horse and deal with that. And then this year we have the problem with in Oaklawn, which was contamination, and we're not even sure. Our theory is that we thought that maybe Jimmy, because he had one of those salon pulse patches, we're thinking that, but we don't know for sure. But and we're dealing with that right now. And then the Philly Gamine, we followed the guidelines for the new rules and everything, and plus we treated her under my veterinarian's recommendation. 18 days, supposed to be 14. I went 18 days. I didn't want any issue. I don't want, I'm a big target. I don't want any, and I'm a very conservative trainer. So then it comes back that she's got this betamethasone, an overage of cortisone in her system, and their science and their thresholds they're not right. But the problem is that they don't. These commissioners, they don't admit that when they make a mistake, that their science is, they go by case. I'm learning a lot about this stuff. So it's unfortunate. Now this poor Gamine, I feel bad for her. It's the second time she's gone through. She's a great filly, and she actually worked today, unbelievable, for the Breeders' Cup filly in Maris Brand. She's better one turn, but it's bad for racing because it sends a message out there, and that it makes me sound like I'm taking advantage of the rules, like Barry Irwin. How dare he say crap about me where he's if anybody, you hear Barry Irwin's name, everybody, he's not very, his reputation is not the greatest, so for him to come out and say something like that, he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about, and so, but you know what, I have a lot of guys out there that a lot of haters out there. There's a lot of jealousy out there, and that's what's happened in the game. And this is their chance to, sharpen their arrows and come after me. But it's just we're going to just follow the process now, and that's all we can do. But I'm glad you reached out to me because when I read that article, it was so wrong. The whole piece was just a hit piece, and unfortunately, that's the only thing that gets written anymore.
They're painting you as a cheater.
I know it, and I don't like it. I don't want, and what it does, it just runs my name, my horse's name, my owner's name through the mud for no reason. And so, and I didn't do anything. I'm not a, sometimes you can. Back in the days, I've had a lot of hype youths, and from just sloppiness, vets or whatever. Back in the day when I was quarter horses and stuff like that, but. It's embarrassing. We don't like to get those that sloppiness there. But I'm telling you, it's just I feel like I can't catch a break. And this crap keeps happening to me. But you know what? They're testing at such low levels now, and they're picking which is it's good to test. They're trying to get the bad stuff, but they're picking up these little things like in California. That would be a fine. They wouldn't take your purse away. But in Kentucky, they've changed the rules there. She'll lose her purse. Even if you get a high butte there, though, you'll lose your purse. I mean, they're just really getting strict because, well, the way racing was gone through the last 2 years, ever since all the bad PR we got at San Anita, everything's just gone crazy. And hopefully this new federal bill, it'll be good because it will look at it and investigate and say, hey, look at this is not right, but we don't have that right now. All we go by is just, guys just on social media, just destroying my reputation. And it's not cool.
Well, they pointed out that your filly was the only horse out of 89 that tested a positive. I want to go back to the Justify situation because I'm very, very adamant in regard to how that is perceived by the public. And it was someone leaked. How did Joe Drape come up with the story a year later? That's what I want to know. And the California Horse Racing Board, you're saying you never had an idea that Justify tested a positive for Jimson weed, whatever it is called, that you weren't aware of it until months later. And it just goes to perplex me even more that a guy that is in New York who's a writer comes up with this story 9 months later, and then they investigated and they find the California Horse Racing Board didn't do due diligence in what they're supposed to do by bringing it to the attention. It was swept underneath the rug. So, I mean, where did Joe Drape, who leaked that information to Joe Drape?
I have no idea. I don't know who the leaker was, whatever. But I think it was 18 months, Felix. But we were waiting because they kept asking, "Have you heard any more?" And I was waiting and waiting and waiting, and I didn't know. But what they did, they said what they did is they knew it was contamination and mitigating circumstances. And when you don't have a positive, then there's no. It's just like. I remember years ago, this is back in 1998, and they were saying all these things about me, that I was doing this, I was using clenbuterol and all this crap, and it was pissing me off. So I called one of the investigators and said, will you please, I don't like this, people talking about me. I don't use that crap. And so that's when it was illegal. And so could you please, let people know that I'm not using this? The only time we can let people know is if you have a positive. So if there's good things going on, they don't report it, So, and I think that's what our game. And I think what happened is that they should have come out with that. That's I would have liked to have known, that they had, they didn't call it, and they did the right thing. I mean, you got Daryl Vienna, who's one of the lawyers against it. He knows better because he represents a lot of trainers. That's how he makes a living. and he understands the rules. And so for him, he's fighting it now in the media because he knows they did the right thing. But it's a payday and it's not right. But he's supposed to. The trainers, we don't have a lot of people watching out for our back. So when these things happen, it just drags our names through the mud. But this whole thing with the gamine though is it's just a ticky tack. And their science is bad, and we're gonna have to show it. You have to prove it to them. Everything's all the medications are all listed and everything, dates and everything. So there's nothing there to hide. So.
Am I correct in assuming it's like nanogram? I mean, it's
pico. We're talking picograms, a trillionth of a gram. And so. And
what is the prohibited drug that, or what are they claiming that gamine ran in excess of?
Betamethasone. It's a cortisone.
It's a cortisone. Now, is that an illegal?
No, it's legal. No, it's legal. It's a legal medication, but you can't give it within 14 days, and we gave it 18.
And they're stating that. Now, what happens when they take the drug test? You require a split sample, meaning a second opinion and another sample of it.
Yeah, that hasn't come back yet because unfortunately, I don't know why they leaked it out. The word got out. It was leaked out, and that's what happens in racing. There's no secrets, So I think California, that's to protect, protect us while we're getting the split because the split comes back and it's not in there because it's so low, Felix. Then they don't call it a positive, and there's no story, And that's what happened with Justify. They called it a no positive because they had other trainers. And the thing is, everybody thinks I don't get special treatment. They go after me. They call me. There was 4 other trainers that had positives, but they call me on it. So that happens, but I don't get special treatment.
Did you have to forfeit the purses of both those horses that had shown a positive?
Yeah.
And now the Justify situation is back in the court as well.
Yeah, I don't understand that. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know how they came to the conclusion. I just know what I read, and so I wasn't involved in that. They made a big deal out of it because I trained for one of the commissioners. And they they're doing me favors. They weren't doing me any favors, but they did the right thing because they knew it was contamination. So and they should have. Jimson weed has been a problem in California for forever. I remember back in the 20 years ago, they fought it vigorously. Richard Mandela, Mack, and all these big time trainers, they all had Jimson weed positive, and it was Jimson weed. But people, if the haters, they right away I did something. That horse that didn't. It's a poison anyway. It's not good for a horse.
Wait a minute now. What I have a problem with all this situation is that, you were told about this like months after the California Horse Racing Board. They have now all gone. Mr. Baedeker, Mr. Winner, and they're leaving you out to dry, and you're taking your hits. And after 18 months, Joe Drape writes this hatchet column and creates this. We're talking about a Triple Crown winner here. And how much more damage do you want to do to the sport, especially as you mentioned in California, than go after this way after the fact? Shouldn't there be a statute of limitations on this? Yes. Was the California Horse Racing Board held accountable? Not whatsoever. And they should have been, because that is what the California Horse Racing Board is designed to do. So now you move forward here.
Yeah, but Felix, you don't understand. If there's no positive, there's no That's the way it's always worked. So they stuck to, but being it was such a high-profile case, I think they probably should have said something, that I think that's probably where it came out, and then we got a new governor, and he changed everything around. So, but it's just bad for horse racing, and our own people in California, they just keep knocking us, and
well, we got
too many knockers.
Forget about the knockers, forget about the haters. We got major problems here in California, Bob Baffert. Major problems. And you know what they are in regard to horse population. How can you survive in the great race place with 5 or 6 horses? Races don't go. You have major $1 million horses in your shed row that are dying to run. You don't find any races. Can you see yourself in California very much longer?
Well, I mean, I don't think we're there yet. It's not that bad. But I think, we've changed the regulations. They're changing regulations. But, these deeper tracks, take their toll on some of these younger horses, to get them ready, because they slowed them way, way down because they were worried about catastrophic injuries, And so, might have gone a little bit overboard on everything. So, I think we're working things out. California's still the best place to run. We have the weather. It's tough. We got good trainers, good jockeys. It's still the best, but we just need some kind of, if that sports gambling bill, if we could ever get something like that. But
that's off the table till 2023. Thank you very much. I mean, we are so behind the 8 ball here in California. Let me ask you this. Share with me about the whip rule. How stupid of a rule is the whip rule?
I totally agree with you. We know we had a good rule. Matter of fact, Bo Derek is the one that put it in, and she's a super horse lover, and when she was a commissioner, and so it's almost like they're overdoing it. We're going from one extreme to another, and the thing is, the whip rule is easily, the stewards, they can control it. If they see somebody got over anxious, they find them, call them in, whatever, and and if it's that bad, you take the whip away from them for 3 days or something. You know what I mean? They can do it without going to this extreme, but you need it's these horses. They, especially as a gambler, and there's a lot of horses that you take a horse like Authentic. If you go back and watch the sham stakes and see what he did, he almost ran over the rail because he didn't want to. He was looking at everything, and he's a quirky horse like that, and so horses like that. I mean, you imagine going down through there and he stops and he gets beat, and for the gamblers who are without the gamblers, forget horse racing, and they, for some reason, they're not thinking about them, and we're all in it together.
I'm not thinking about the gamblers. I'm thinking about the jockeys and the horses.
Yeah. Well,
okay. The jockeys are on those horses. If they need to use that stick, and they're prohibited from using that stick to be able to gear that 1,000+ pound animal, then, I don't give one damn hoot about the gambler. I'm concerned about my Drayden Van Dyke, my Mike Smith, those jockeys that take their lives in their own hands. They have to protect themselves, and they're making these rules without ever riding a race. They don't understand what it takes. I don't want to go on this rant because I feel really humiliated in regard to seeing that it changes. I mean, like the whip rule, let's make sure we got our tracks to a point where safety is job one. The perception of horse racing outside of horse racing is horrible. People don't want to be associated with horse racing because of the major breakdowns and the deaths of horses. Now, we've had a nice little solid run of safety, and I appreciate that. But
if we keep on changing this game and we're able to take, a helping hand away from the jockey by using that, I don't think, and I've never been hit with one of those whips, but I don't think it's that much pain. I think the sound is better or bigger than the bark, so to speak. But that's for another show. I want to get to your Breeders' Cup. Everybody talking about the Breeders' Cup in regard to the classic, maximum security, authentic. You are loaded for the classic. How are those two coming up, and how have they been training?
Authentic, he actually worked this morning. He worked great. I mean, he went 7/8, 124 on this deep racetrack, and galloped out really strong. Felix, I mean, he couldn't be doing any better. I'm still really disappointed in his Preakness. I wish he would have made the lead, and I think he would have won the race. But when you got to turn the page, I've always said once that board says official, you got to move on. But he's coming back. He's doing really well. I think he'll run big. Maximum Security. I think that race he bounced a little bit off the Del Mar race, but he's doing really well. And Improbable, couldn't be doing any better. So those three horses, they're it's pretty. I've never been so stacked since I had American Pharoah in the Breeders' Cup Classic. But they're three really top horses, and then I got Gamine. Poor Gamine, she worked today, unbelievable. So I think for right now, one turn's her game. She's just brilliant going one turn. She showed that in New York, the way she won those races, and so. She couldn't be looking any stronger and better. I think the mile and 8's a little bit long. It's far for her. I think she'll get it maybe next year. But, I like her in there. And I've got that Princess Noor in the Tyrrell filly. She worked today, juvenile. And she's always been a freaky type of filly. She worked unbelievable today, too. So, but the juvenile fillies, it's going to be a shorter field, but there's some nice fillies in there, so it's going to be a good race.
You've had a number of great equines under your conditioning. When you received Maximum Security, what was your first thought? Is he the real deal? A lot of folks, I was engaged in a conversation with a friend of mine, Chris, up at the OC Tavern yesterday, up there in San Clemente, and he started talking about Maximum Security. And Tommy D, our co-host of Track Talk, was on Maximum Security like 3 weeks before the Derby. He kept on talking about how he liked Maximum Security after the Florida Derby run. Is he the real deal?
Yeah, he is. You know what? He reminds me of Silver Charm. He will, if he's in the fight, he's just going to the way he won at Del Mar that first race. I mean, he had every reason to get beat, turning for home, and he just fought it out and he grinded out that win, came back, then won the Pacific Classic, and he ran against. He was chasing a hot pace, and Probable sat back there and just ran all by them all. But since then he's had that extra 6 weeks. I think it's really helped him, and he's doing really, really well. So he's gonna be right there. I mean, I have these three horses, and I can't really separate them. It's hard to separate them.
Yes, I would have to agree. Those three would be very, very difficult to separate. So are you doing all your heavy work here in California and your light work back at Keeneland? When do you ship and when do you fly out?
Yeah, Felix, what we do is we'll do all the work here. They'll work their works here, and then we'll breeze them a little bit next week, and then they fly in on Tuesday of that week into Keeneland, and then when we get there, we just go real light with them, and just we've had a lot of luck doing that. They're just off the plane, and they're not there long enough to. Sometimes I've done it both ways, and I remember I went into the Gulfstream Park. I went in 2 weeks before, and with all these good horses, and they didn't run that well. I worked them there, and I've had better luck just running them off the plane.
Well, we got a lot to shoot for. You have a couple in today, don't you?
Yeah, I've got they're semi live. You know, I've got a nice a 2-year-old maiden, but he drew the rail. But it's going to be a tough race. Yeah, it's tough to win first time out. You know, especially in the 1 hole. But at Class here, he seems like a nice horse, been working well, and I think it'll be for later on down the road. You know, but you know, at least we're getting out to them, and really, I've been lucky. I've finally getting horses in here this last couple of weeks. That's really helped.
Yeah, has the work tab increased at Santa Anita, and what would be your situation? Would you bring a whole line of horses down here for Del Mar? You work over the track, or do you ship in the day of the race?
You know what? I just ship in the day of. They just leave early in the morning and go down there and run and come right back. I've had, it's tough. You know, economically, you don't know if the races are going to go. So we're here getting ready, and it's a deep track here and it's a deep track there. So it's not like if I was stable at Los Alamitos, you're at a super disadvantage because the track is quicker there. So you have to be. It's hard to win from Los Alamitos because of the surface. You know.
So you feel pretty good about moving forward to the Breeders' Cup, that you're in fine position on a number of different fronts?
Yeah, I mean, today went well. Tomorrow I'm going to work in Provo and maximum security, and then they have to work again, and they have to, everything, nothing can go wrong. You got to be careful. There's so many little things that can go wrong. They get sick or a fever or something, or, just you name it. I'm telling you what, from here on, we're just on pins and needles, until we get there. Until I put that saddle on them, that's when I take a deep breath and go, all right, now it's out of my hands,
So does all this negative publicity, and these are spearheaded attacks, the Tim Sullivan piece in the Journal Courier out of Kentucky. I don't know if it's Louisville. I'm sure it is Louisville or Lexington. I think it's Louisville Journal, whatever it is, Courier.
Yeah.
That does it affect you? How does it shake your tree, so to speak, and how does it affect you?
Yeah, because it's a bunch of non-truths, and when I see that, I go, well, what? And he's quoting Barry Irwin. Barry Irwin doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know we put it in the statement. We said exactly what happened, and so, but you have to. The thing is,
wait. Barry Irwin hasn't run a horse in this country all year long. I mean, he's running in Europe right now. And so, who made Barry Irwin the emperor to make statements that, I don't know, I would be pretty angry and pretty hurt if somebody would fire like Barry Irwin and Tim Sullivan. Tim Sullivan used to be the sports editor, or he was a sports writer here in San Diego. Yeah. And I don't know first of all, I don't know very many of those sports writers that have any idea what horse racing's all about. And Tim Sullivan always came across as just a writer, didn't have any idea. I mean, he would ask questions in the Del Mar press box about certain situations about horse racing. Now, I don't know Tim Sullivan outside the fact that maybe I interviewed him one time here on the radio. But I do know one thing, that Tim Sullivan isn't an expert in thoroughbred horse racing, but he did take time out to pen a column today in that newspaper that doesn't paint a good picture.
No, he's always been that. He's always a lot of negative. I think him and Joe Draper are always writing negatives about, on Churchill Downs and racing in general. But, these guys, I don't know, they have their own, a lot of guys, once they have their own narrative, and that's, they interview, they're not going to, they're very biased, they're not fair, so it's, you're up against it, but believe me, I'm going to give him a call, and his column was totally just wrong, and just, it's just ridiculous, so it's pretty upsetting because, at the end of the day, we work so hard, and these horses, we put a lot of time into these horses, and and here in California, it's a knock on us out here. We have the best racing, and so.
Well, it makes you look bad. It makes you look like you're a cheater. And I mean, like the same equine now testing two positives, and this is after the fact, and they went back, and I believe they are investigating the winner of the Kentucky Oaks this year, Brad Cox. So they don't seem to get it right in this one particular race. I mean, you're.
I haven't heard that.
She's my who won. Brad Cox won. Brad Cox won the Kentucky Oaks this year, and they're investigating this filly for a positive. Okay. I mean, so you're hearing it because that's
the first time I've ever heard of that.
Well,
I mean, if you have a positive, they'll tell you immediately.
Well, let me tell you that a lot of times that people tune into this radio show, they hear things for the first time because I'm always keeping my finger on the pulse in regard to what's happening in thoroughbred horse racing. And I want to ask you a question because I've been doing this for a long time. And what's the solution to California? Why isn't anybody shipping in here with a string of horses? We ship to.
Well,
Don't tell me just give me a reason why.
Well, I think a lot of it is that there's so many opportunities back east now, and it's tough here. When you come here, it's tough. Our horses are really fast. You see what we do when we go back east. We California goes into New York. We go in there and we win. So when they come here, they don't come out here because they know how tough it is. We've got really good horses out here because we have the weather, and that's why we have the weather. We don't have to move around. We have the best of both worlds. I mean, Santa Anita, the most beautiful racetrack in America. You can't, this is the gem of racing here, and we cannot afford to lose it. We need to get horses out here. And so we just got to work it out. But these tracks, they got to get along. We got to, there's always fighting. That's one thing. Every time I've gone to Sacramento, Felix, they've had me come up there to talk to these different politicians through the years, and they all say the same thing. You know what? Nobody takes racing seriously because you guys are all fighting with each other. Everybody's against each other. It's true. Hollywood was fighting with Santa Anita. Santa Anita was fighting with whatever. It's just Churchill was fighting, and we can't get on the same page, and that's the problem. It's always some fight going on, so Stronach, they're going to fight, Del Mar's going to fight, LaSalle's going to, it's just the same, we need some kind of a czar like an NFL or something, something that we all, under the same roof. Maybe that's the answer, but, I really don't know. But we need more horses out here.
How do you get more horses out here? I mean, we talked about the ship and win earlier. Del Mar does a great job. Santa Anita probably has followed suit. See, the thing is that we have never been uniformed as a 3-tier venue in Southern California, meaning Santa Anita, Hollywood, and Del Mar. If we all had 3 different synthetic surfaces, we couldn't come to a unanimous decision on what kind of surface. So each track did their own with 3 synthetics, and then the marketing is all completely different. You have a 20-cent pick 6 here, you got a $2 pick 6 here, you got no pick 6 there. So the fans have always taken the punishment and the slap in the face in regard to being respected, and now there's no fans at all, and so it all has gone online. And I was just curious, are the jockeys able to work the horses this week at Santa Anita?
Yeah, I mean, Santa Anita, the jockeys, they can work at 6:30 and 7:45 breaks. We have to take the horses into the paddock, and the jockeys get on there, and then they come after they breathe. They come back to the paddock. They get off there, so they're not allowed on the backside. And so which to me it's now it's a little bit. I don't know. They can, as long as they stayed outside the barn, it'd be fine. But after the big COVID outbreak from Los Alamitos to Del Mar, they really got strict with that. But in L.A. County, we got to be so careful because it's just any little thing that would shut us down. So I don't blame them there. And so hopefully when things get back to normal, soon, we can go back to, it would help out a lot. But we're doing the best of it. I think San Diego's done a great job. Unfortunately, the owners, it's taking a toll on them, Felix, because they can't come back and see their horses. They love their horses.
Right.
They can't come back there. And that's tough.
And so have some owners said that I'll get out of the game because I'm paying you, a handsome price to take care of my horses. I'm investing millions of dollars into some of these horses, and that it's no fun to me. I mean, the part of me, because I'm sure these guys don't need horse racing. They do it because they love it and they love the game and they love their horses. And so if you can't love your horse and see it once a day or once a week, once a month, whatever, and then able to come out and see it work. Now, I know Del Mar is allowing owners to come out and watch workouts and so forth and so on. Then if I was one of those owners, and there has to be one owner out there that says, hey, forget about this. If I'm not able to get the joy out of my investment, why would I invest? Have there been any conversations with owners like that?
Well, there has been, but everybody understands what we're going through, the pandemic. So, but most of my owners, they're out of state. They're, somewhere here in California, but they usually watch them run on television, or they'll fly out to watch them. But then if they do win, there's no winner's circle, which is sort of tough. It's like you can't really, go out there. They could probably do that. That at least that would help a little bit. You go out there and you can't go in the paddock, got to be far away, and then you watch them run, and then they take a picture out there, and you can't really go talk to your jockey or your, it's sort of like, it's a little bit lame. But right now we need to stay open, and we don't want any problems with L.A. County.
Right. And you know what? I'm going to tell you something. Excuse me for the interruption, but there is a big difference between L.A. County and San Diego County and restrictions. And I don't think people really know how restricted and how tightened it got up in Los Angeles County compared to Orange County, where they don't wear any mask at all. And then you get into San Diego County as you come down the coast, and you find out one thing. You find out that it is slightly relaxed in the restrictions, but you go 3 different counties and it's all different. And, it really has. How has it changed? How has COVID-19 changed Bob Baffert's way of doing business?
Well, I mean, when we were shut down there for a while, it was pretty scary. We didn't know if we were going to open up, and I didn't have my P-Rolls. People didn't send their horses out here because they were afraid they couldn't. They weren't going to be able to run. So I got a little late start, and then I had all these people here working. So we just, and then I had a few of my employees. They got sick. We went through that. I had a lot of them get sick, but they got through it. We had to put them up at hotels, but you know what? I take care of my employees, and they all got well. And by the time Del Mar, they're all well by then. I had a few of them, but we had a little bit of an outbreak here right before Del Mar. It was scary, but I've been fortunate. I've been able to, we follow the protocols. Wash your hands and wear your mask and don't get too close. I think washing the hands to me is a big deal, but don't touch your face, But the Arboretum is jam-packed. They never shut down, and they're lined up. Older people just lined up to get in there. So that's just, it's mind-boggling.
What's mind-boggling? I'm sorry?
The Arboretum across the street.
Oh, yes.
Never closed, and it was packed every week, and you can't get a parking spot there. Packed.
Well, people want to get out. They don't want to be contained, but you can't go out there and be socially distanced at a racetrack.
Yeah.
I think it all is from the governor up, and I know that, hey, look, we don't know what to expect, and there is a danger out there. The upticks in California, they had the highest day of increased positives in the coronavirus yesterday, which is huge, and it shows, as the experts shared with us months ago, there might be a second wave. We might be experiencing and be surfing on the second wave right now, and we've got to be careful because, you know, it is no secret that this governor perhaps wants to see horse racing go away. Will Santa Anita continue to race when the property's worth billions of dollars and really not able to have fans in and you know, to be able to offset some cost? Is it really that valuable of an entity known as horse racing? So what happens if she just decides to sell Santa Anita? Then where does all the focus on racing? It comes down here to San Diego at Del Mar, do you think?
You know what? I really, you know, until you cross that bridge, you don't know. I mean, I think Del Mar is probably if you look down the future down the road. I mean, Del Mar is probably better as makes more money as a racetrack, and it's in a floodplain. They can't really build around there, so I think that's going to be our last option, because we know Los Alamitos, you know, Dr. Allred, when he eventually, when he's gone, that thing won't be around. So, I mean, Del Mar is actually the future, because, you know, this place here is sitting on, you know, the land is just so valuable, you know.
Well,
I don't know. It's something I don't like to think about.
Well, you better start thinking about it, because it's going to be there.
Because I really don't want to leave California. I love California. I don't know if I would just leave.
Where would you go?
Quit.
Where would you go if you had to leave California? Where would you go?
I just might quit. I don't know.
You quit. You'd walk away.
I might do that. You know, I don't know. You know, so
where would you go if California said, okay, there's no more racing after tomorrow, and where would you choose? Kentucky circuit, the Arkansas circuit, New York, Florida. Where would you mind send a string of horses and start anew?
I think that you'll always have Oaklawn and Kentucky. I think that's going to be the circuits. New York, I'm worried about New York. You know, because they're you know, if they lose that purse money from the machines, the way, you know, the city, you know, Pennsylvania lost it, you know, and so it's one of those things where I don't know, you know, I don't like to really. Right now, I live in the moment. I'm worried. Right now, I'm just concentrating on the Breeders' Cup, but I have Bodie. If Bodie, I want to get him through high school. You know, if we can just get him through high school first, and then I can decide, you know, what. But right now, you know, I'd hate to move. And I think we're good for at least a few years here. So I'm hoping, you know, but it's tough. I think we're all up against it. But, you know, if we could have some kind of machines or something like that, we could survive. But without it, I don't see how we're going to survive it.
Well, the Del Mar Fairgrounds is in trouble. Del Mar leases the track from the state of California. The state of California most likely would like to see horse racing go away. However, they receive a lot of money, tax money, from horse racing in this state. Therefore, might want to keep one eye open to the game itself. But the governor shut down the health offices of the health departments up there in Los Angeles, shut down Santa Anita. They came out here, no fans, especially with Del Mar being on state property. They are going to be in direct order with the governor of California to conduct any kind of restriction that he imposes. Therefore, there's no fans in the fall meet, but we'll live with that. At least we can have racing and step by step, and it's been a trying year. I'm going to close by saying I apologize for all the attacks that that are spearing towards you, because you would consider some of the sources and how they got the information. And until Joe Drape tells me how he learned about this and that, then I can't really respect him. But he did unfold the story, which I have to give him a lot of credit, because I thought the California Horse Racing Board deserved an F in regard to how they handled this situation. The fans depend on the California Horse Racing Board to uphold the integrity of this game and be the governing force. They showed complete disrespect to everybody involved by not disclosing the information that they had in front of it. May it be good, bad, or indifferent. But hey, we're on to the Breeders' Cup. We want to thank Peter Rotondo for the Breeders' Cup for joining us. Bob Baffert has been so kind of his time, and we will talk with you very, very soon, Mr. Baffert, and thanks so much for being on the program.
Well, thanks for having me and reaching out, because it's not a racing it means a lot to me, and we need to make. We don't need this. This is ridiculous. We're getting a bad PR for ticky tack things, and we got to we need a. It's a beautiful sport, and I don't want it to go away.
Well, I agree with you. Thanks for the time, Bob Baffert. We will catch up with you down the road. Give my best to your lovely wife, Jill, and your son, Bodie, as we move forward. This is Track Talk. Tommy D on one side, Wade Taylor inside the studio. I'm Felix Taverna, and it's a wrap on this Saturday morning as we bring it to you live from the WS Radio Network here in San Diego, California. Woo!